Some people don't run toward the noise of the world. They don't feel alive in crowds. They don't chase constant movement voices or lights. Instead, they feel most like themselves when the door is closed. The room is quiet, and the outside world is held at a distance. To others, this looks like isolation. It looks like withdrawal. It looks like hiding. But psychologically, something very different is happening. For certain minds, home is not an escape from life. It is where the nervous system finally feels safe enough to rest, where thoughts slow down, where emotions organize themselves, where the brain stops scanning for threats and starts returning to balance. This is not about being antisocial. It is not about fear of people. And it is not about weakness. It is about a nervous system that processes the world deeply, and therefore needs distance from it to recover. The question is not, why do you stay at home so much? The real psychological question is, what kind of mind finds peace only when the world becomes quiet? If these words feel like they are describing your own inner world, if you finally feel understood rather than explained, then you are in the right place. Subscribe and stay with us for psychology that speaks to the quiet, unseen parts of the mind. People who love staying at home are often misunderstood. From the outside, their lifestyle can look small, limited, even lonely. But psychologically, their inner world is anything but empty. In fact, many of them experience the world more intensely than those who constantly seek it. Their nervous systems are highly responsive. Their minds register details, emotions, tones, shifts in atmosphere. They don't just see a room, they feel it. They don't just hear a conversation, they absorb its emotional weight. Because of this depth of processing, the external world can become overwhelming. Faster. Noise is not just noise. Crowds are not just crowds. Movement is not just movement. Each stimulus asks something from the brain. Each interaction pulls on attention, emotion, regulation, and over time, the nervous system begins to crave the one environment where it does not have to defend itself. Home. Home becomes the place where vigilance can finally soften, where the body does not have to stay alert, where the mind is not forced to scan, interpret, adjust, perform. This is why many people who love staying at home describe a physical sensation of relief the moment they close the door. Their shoulders drop, their breathing slows, their thoughts become quieter. Psychologically, this is the parasympathetic nervous system activating, the system responsible for rest, repair, and emotional integration. For these individuals, being outside too long means living in a state of subtle arousal, not panic, not fear, but a constant low-level readiness. Readiness to respond, readiness to adapt, readiness to manage social cues, unpredictability, and sensory input. Home is where readiness is no longer required. This is why the concept of optimal arousal theory becomes so important here. Every human brain functions best within a certain level of stimulation. Too little, and we become bored. Too much, and we become overwhelmed. Extroverted nervous systems are understimulated by quiet. They seek people, sound, movement to reach their optimal level. Introverted nervous systems are already near that optimal level internally. Their thoughts are active. Their imagination is alive. Their emotional processing is deep. Add too much external stimulation, and the system crosses into overload. So what looks like avoiding the world is often the brain protecting its optimal state. Staying at home is not withdrawal, it is regulation. Another key psychological factor is control. Outside, the environment is uncontrollable. You cannot regulate the volume of people. You cannot regulate their moods. You cannot regulate interruptions. Expectations, social energy, unpredictability. Inside control returns. You choose the light. You choose the silence. You choose the temperature. You choose whether to speak or not. The brain interprets control as safety. Safety allows the nervous system to downshift. And when the nervous system downshifts, higher cognitive functions become available. This is why so many people who love staying at home report clearer thinking, deeper creativity, stronger emotional processing, better problem solving. Solitude is not emptiness for them. It is spaciousness. It is the space in which the mind can finally hear itself. In silence, their thoughts arrange. In stillness, their emotions settle into meaning. In absence of social demand, their identity becomes clearer. This is also why home becomes a psychological mirror. Without distraction, the mind turns inward. Memories surface. Questions arise. Self-understanding deepens. For some, this introspection feels heavy. For others, it feels nourishing. Those who love staying at home are often those who are comfortable meeting themselves. They are not afraid of their inner dialogue. They are not running from it. They are not numbing it with constant external noise. They allow it to unfold. However, this does not mean that every person who prefers staying in is psychologically healthy. And this is where the distinction becomes subtle, but crucial. There is a difference between solitude as regulation and isolation as avoidance. Regulation is chosen. Avoidance is driven by fear. The person who chooses solitude feels calmer after it, more integrated, more grounded. The person who hides in isolation feels smaller, more anxious, more detached from life. The behavior may look the same. The psychology underneath is entirely different. One is moving toward inner balance. The other is moving away from perceived threat. Understanding this difference is essential, because society often labels all staying in behavior as the same. But the nervous system knows the truth. For many, staying at home is not about rejecting people. It is about preserving emotional energy. Social interaction, even when pleasant, requires regulation. Monitoring facial expressions. Adjusting tone. Responding appropriately. Managing impressions. Holding emotional boundaries. This constant micro-regulation taxes the system. At home, that regulation can rest. This is why people who love staying at home often describe feeling themselves only when alone. Not because they are fake with others, but because the nervous system is no longer in performance mode. Authenticity emerges in safety, and safety for these minds is quiet, predictable, and self-directed space. In that space, creativity often blooms. The brain no longer uses energy to manage stimulation. It can invest that energy into imagination, reflection, and meaning-making. Many writers, thinkers, artists, and problem-solvers share this trait. They do not escape the world. They process it privately. They digest experience internally before offering it outward. This is the psychology of people who love staying at home. A nervous system tuned to depth. A mind that reaches clarity through stillness, an emotional world that organizes itself best in silence. A sense of safety rooted in control and predictability. From the outside, it may look like small living. From the inside, it is often a rich, complex, quietly powerful inner life. To understand why some people love staying at home, we have to look at emotional history. For some, quiet feels safe because their early environment taught them that stillness meant stability. For others, quiet feels safe because noise once meant unpredictability. The brain learns very early what safety feels like. A child who grows up in emotional tension often develops a nervous system that is highly sensitive to atmosphere. As an adult, this system seeks low stimulation not because of weakness, but because calm equals safety. Home becomes more than a place. It becomes a psychological boundary. Inside feels predictable. Outside feels demanding. Attachment style also plays a role. People with secure attachment can enjoy both people and solitude. They rest in connection, and they rest in being alone. But those with anxious or avoidant attachment often feel most regulated when emotional distance is preserved. For them, home becomes the only space where they do not have to perform, do not have to explain, do not have to emotionally monitor others. This is why some people say, home is the only place I can breathe. But the most important question remains, is this love of home coming from peace or from protection? Peace-based solitude feels grounding. After being alone, you feel clearer and more open to life. Protection-based isolation feels contracting. After being alone, you feel smaller and more afraid to re-enter the world. The behavior looks the same. The inner experience is different. One is rest. The other is hiding. For many people, it is a mixture of both, a sensitive nervous system and a history that learned safety and quiet. This creates a deep pull toward home, not as an escape, but as a sanctuary. Sometimes the closed door is not avoidance, it is where the nervous system finally feels safe enough to heal.